What's up, guys? My name is Jared. This is my tiny fish room. Today's video, we're gonna have something really cool. We got another gift from our good friends over at Hygger. We're gonna put it through its paces and show you guys exactly what we got. On top of that, we've got some really unfortunate news regarding some of our rescued fish. We'll go over that in this video too. So without further ado, let's jump right into today's video, show you what we got. Bye-bye. All right, guys, we're back in the fish room and it's time to do a little bit of fish maintenance. We have a whole bunch of tanks that need our attention. So this is gonna get confusing because I'm filming at two different spots at the same time, so I can see myself from every angle. But right here, we have a 360 gallon per hour electric aquarium vacuum. Gravel cleaner is what they call it. It's a 5-in-1 gravel cleaner. If you're from Europe, it's 1350 liters per hour. So let's open this bad boy up and see exactly what we're working with. See, big old power unit. Okay, I need to go through the bottom if I can. Whatever. Let's take all this out. Okay, so there's our pump, I'm assuming. Huge pump. And then we have a filter. And we have the nozzle. So let's get rid of this. And what else do we have in the box? Oh, we got a bunch of goodies. Okay. We got a bunch of piping fittings. Oh. So, here's our handle. And then looks like we got at least 3 extensions. Nope, at least 3. So we'll be able to make this guy relatively long, which is good because most of our tanks are pretty long. Oh, sweet. Comes with a brush. It's gonna come in handy. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Okay, we're gonna stop that camera right there. So yeah, we got a brush, we got several extensions, we got a coupler. I don't know yet how to put it all together, but it does come with a nice little set of instructions. A secondary power unit, so it probably converts power so we can go into 110. Sorry, I got the hiccups. We got a clip. So I guess if you wanted to set it in your tank and let it just consistently help filter out your water, which we might try that feature out today because we're going to be trimming down some of the moss inside the angel tank. And here we have a variety of other tips. So like if you're doing sand or something, I would suggest using a nozzle like this, or if you're going to do like we are later and just set it in the tank and let it filtrate, this is really good to use because we're going to make a mess whenever we take out that moss. All the leftover yumminess that was on that tank or in that moss is going to come off. So let me put this thing together. I'll be right back. All right, so I will say this. The construction is really nice. This thing feels really good. You can make it extremely long. And for once, it came with a really good hose. So that's really handy. I'm not gonna do a full water change with it just yet. The first thing we're gonna attempt to do with it is just to cycle and filter water while we are working on this tank because it's going to get really cloudy really fast. So I'm going to disconnect this hose if I can, maybe. It's really good connection on the hose. The hose is really nice. But we're going to ditch that for a moment. We're going to set this guy in here. Just all the way across the top like so. I want to make sure it rests this way because it's going to push that water back into the tank right here. So you guys can see, I'm just running it directly from the corner and I'm going to start using it to help me while I clean this section out. But we're going to get this pump turned on and circulating before we start making it cloudy. And I forgot the other half of the power cord.
Long power cord though?
Yeah, very long power cord, which is my complaint on most of these. And the other thing I'd say too that I really like is the on-off switch isn't towards the plug. So it's much easier to manage up here rather than having to reach down every time you want to turn it on and off if there's not a trigger on it. So this one I think is going to do just quite nicely. Make sure we're in the off position, which we're not. Always check that, guys, when you receive anything. Double check it's on off before you plug it in. So let's see if we got to prime this thing or if it's just going to start going crazy. Oh no. It just started going crazy. That is freaking sweet. If you come over here, you can see how much water is coming out of there. It's 360 gallons per hour, filtering through a sponge right here that we can swap out when need be. So let's get our scissors. Let's get in there and let's start do some gardening, because this thing is an absolute mess. There's so much overgrown. It's crazy. And this is like every couple of weeks we got to do this. And you can see immediately how cloudy the tank gets. And that's from all the leftover gunk that lives in the moss, gets trapped after feedings, fish waste. The plant will hold on to a lot of stuff as food. But as you can see, that vacuum is sucking that stuff out like crazy. This is going to make it a lot easier to maintain my tanks and keep them clean. So just a huge shout out to Hygger, and really appreciate them sending this vacuum. This thing's going to be clear in no time at all. Oh, one of my Cory catfish just popped up. So yeah, I just literally went and cut the top off, and it's still so much. And I'm worried if I don't cut some more out, then it'll just be having to be done again very soon. So let's get in there and let's cut out a little bit more. This crazy Christmas tree moss. That's two giant handfuls out of the tank. And as you can see, it's pretty cloudy. And that vacuum is creating quite the current. And it's moving a lot of water. Very, very impressed with the vacuum. I'm pulling it back just a hair, and you can see right here just how much it's sucking up. It's just cleaning up so much of that waste. This is by far the most powerful aquarium vacuum I've ever gotten my hands on. So I'm super stoked. And just to go over a few of the other attachments. So you guys all know that I run a lot of artificial grass. And there's two attachments in here that I absolutely love and will use the heck out of. This flat tip right here that allows you to graze over the top of it will help clean Leroy's tank, as well as this one to help keep the algae and stuff off. Scrub it when it's light, and it's not a bad deal. You gotta wait until it is razor blade worthy. That's a little bit more work, right? So, I mean, last time I cleared this out, it's so bad. So this vacuum, you can see inside the tank still. So the vacuum's doing a really good job. Mm-hmm. So, not too shabby. All right, I'll be right back, guys. We'll tell you a little bit more about that vacuum. All right, guys, I'm not the greatest at doing this, so bear with me, but I want you guys to have all the information so that way you guys can get your hands on one of these vacuums. But this vacuum is called the HG292. It's available on Amazon. It's an aquarium gravel cleaner. If you go to Hygger.com, I think it's every $10 you spend equals 10 points equals $1. So every $10 you spend, you get $1 back going towards your next aquarium purchase to help you out in your fish room. These guys have been awesome to work with. They were the very first people to reach out to me and help me out with my YouTube channel. So they have a special place in my heart. Their products are great. I use them everywhere in my fish room. I have Hygger lights, I have Hygger wave makers, I have Hygger heaters, I have Hygger everything. So really, really appreciate them. All the information to locate and get your own Hygger aquarium gravel cleaner. Will be down in the description below. If you have any questions, anything at all you want to ask me, drop a comment. My email's listed below. Communicate to me any way you'd like to, and I always respond to every single comment. So with that being said, let's jump into a little bit more cleaning and see what this vacuum is capable of. We're going to run it through its paces. We're going to drop it in a little bit of grass. We're going to drop it on a bare tank, and we're going to get some stuff cleaned up. So let's get back into the action. Alrighty folks, we've proven that it can help you when you're aquascaping, if you're removing gunk. I'm not really going to test the gravel feature. I know the gravel feature works. What I want to do next is I want to talk about the 125 gallon tank and why I said there's some unfortunate news that I'll have to share with you guys. Out of the 3 fish that we rescued, the blood red parrots, we only had 1 survivor. We're not exactly sure what happened with the other 2 fish. This one is thriving. The other 2 we found floating at the surface one morning. So unfortunately, we only have 1 surviving fish, and I really think his name should be Lucky, because I don't know why he survived versus the other one's not surviving. We used well circulated water. I mean, this filtration system has had the live bacteria in it for a long time. And like I said, this one fish is thriving. But let's make sure that we clean out the bottom of his tank. I want to see how well these sponges work on a bottomless tank that are just purely sucking up the gunk. I want to see if it captures it all in the sponge, or if we're going to have to add a little bit of filter fleece into that little containment unit. So let's get our vacuum out of this one. And you can see how much nasty moss had gotten trapped, just like the gravel would have. This vacuum is very impressive, in my opinion. Hygger doesn't pay me to say anything nice either. I just really enjoy their products, and they do a really good job. I mean, this vacuum is extremely powerful. Now I gotta be careful because I'm just freehanding it here. And let me see if I can get this plant out of the way here for us to have a look, see a little bit better. Let me get out of the way of the camera lady so she can see in there. Try not to splash everybody with water. Luckily everything here is waterproof, camera included. All right, so I'm gonna kick it back on, and yeah, we're gonna start sucking up some nastiness that we're trying to get lodged into that filter, and it's doing a pretty good job. It's so powerful, it's crazy. Okay, so now we've got it pretty full of nastiness. I can tell because it's not pumping out on top as much. You see that on top? It's barely trickling out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kick it off. We're gonna let some of that fall and suck it back up. And there we go. In that worst case scenario, we're chewing it up good enough that the main filter will be able to get it. We'll slide that out of the way and try and vacuum some of this cloudy water. This is just leftover waste from overfeeding when we had a lot of fish in here. So this will get it nice and clean. I'm still very impressed. It's scooping up like just mouthfuls of gunk right now. It's hard to see it, and it's just powering through it. Trying not to get the wife all wet, but boom. As far as that goes, that did a freaking amazing job. This whole surface here was covered in brown nastiness, and now it's just gone. And if you look, we got our flow back. We got full flow of water, which means it's doing a really good job filtering through that sponge. And that bottom sponge has collected quite a bit of stuff and has shrank quite a bit, which means there's probably quite a bit of stuff in there with it. So we're gonna go ahead and kill the pump right there. And that sponge definitely is saturated with gunk, which is exactly what we want to see. You can see there how it captures all the gunk inside. And we'll be able to remove that sponge and replace it Keep in mind it is a pump, so that pump is going to be full of water. Everything's going to drip a little bit. This is going to be full. The sponge is saturated, right? So if you don't have a hose on there, it's going to be dripping for a second. But now that we've gotten that done, let me see if I can get this guy off of here. We'll set our vacuum down for a second. Gotta figure out how to, I think it's just like that. We'll be able to take that sponge out of there, and you can see that the sponge is absolutely full of fish gunk. Let me get it out. And you can see it's just pure gunkiness, gooey, ooey. So I'm gonna cut it right there, and I'll be right back. Let me go wash our sponge, and let's give Leroy's grass a little bit of a scrubbing. And just like that, everything is clean, ready to go back into the package or into whatever storage containment or wherever you're housing your stuff. For me, mine's going right there so it can dry before we put it away. We'll find it at home. But for Leroy, we're gonna bust out the brush, and we're gonna brush some of his grass. We're gonna avoid getting near his sand. My kids are going crazy upstairs, and I don't understand why. But let's open up Leroy's tank, and let's do some scrubbing on the glass. Hopefully we don't knock that over. But same thing as the previous one. This thing just gonna attach directly into there. And then it does swivel pretty good, so we'll probably be able to get a little swivel action once it's inside. And same thing, we just want to make sure that we're not making a mess, because this is going to be going back into the tank. So, and guys, I can't tell you how convenient it is for this on-off switch to be where it's located. The last vacuum I had, and this wasn't from Hygger, it was some cheapo Temu vacuum that I ordered. The cord for the on-off switch was right next to where you plug it into the wall. Made it incredibly difficult. My wife's laughing at me because I hated that thing. I love this thing. As far as my tanks are concerned, all of them are about 2 feet tall, so it's incredibly steep to get your arm in there. This thing so far is freaking amazing. So let's do some scrubbing on the grass and see how well it does. We're literally brushing the grass. That's so freaking nice. Crazy amounts of flow. And this is gonna get all the nastiness from all the shells from the snails and everything else that he eats. Wow, and you can see it getting pulled up. That is so nice. I'm gonna come back here and scrub a little bit back here. And like I said, folks, if you don't have a hose attached, just make sure your exhaust or whatever you call it, where the water's coming out, is pointed into the tank. I've flooded my fish room more times than I care to count or admit on camera, so just be careful. But this thing is pretty sweet. That swivel nozzle on the top working pretty good. And it's collecting a lot of gunk out of there. The grass, you could tell it's going from like kind of a darker color to a lighter color. You can see all the gunk coming out of there. Heck yeah, Hygger. This thing is sweet. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at all that nastiness coming right out into the pump. You can see all the, I think it sucked it all up already. There was like a, oh there it goes, poofed it out. That's crazy. Just picking up snail shells. Look at that thing. Oh, see what I mean? I got a little water outside the tank. Alright, we better call it right there before I make a mess. Alright guys, that's going to be a wrap on today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me work with Hygger and checking out their products. If you guys need a vacuum in your fish room, check them out, man. They make a lot of quality stuff, and it's great for your fish room. I mean, the easier you can make your maintenance, the more often you'll do your maintenance, right? And if you want your fish room to look nice and healthy like mine does, you got to do the maintenance. You got to put in the time and effort in the background to make the fish happy, to make the water clear. That's what it takes. It's not a bunch of chemicals. It's a lot of elbow grease, you know what I mean? So huge shout out to Hygger for sending me this. All the information is down below in the description. I'll make sure to leave a direct link to their site so that way you can go directly to this vacuum and pick one up for yourself. But other than that, thanks for watching. I love you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Product review over. Peace out.